Joe has a collection of nickels and dimes that is worth $7.30. If the number of dimes were doubled and the number of nickels were increased by 17, then the value of the coins would be $12.75. How many dimes does he have? Okay, so we'll start this problem in the same way that we've done all the other word problems, and that's by identifying the unknowns that we're working with and giving them a symbol. So the question, how many dimes does he have? So we're looking for number of dimes. So let's say x is equal to number of dimes. But this problem is also mentions the number of nickels, and we can't just focus on dimes because we don't know how many nickels there are either. So let's let y equal the number of nickels. Number of nickels. Okay, so now we have two variables, so we need to create two equations. So let's go back to the beginning of the problem. Joe has a collection of nickels and dimes that is worth $7.30. Okay, so let's convert that into an algebraic equation. So the total, what this is saying is the total value of the coins is $7.30. Remember, is means equals, so the value of the nickels plus the value of the dimes is worth a total of $7.30. Okay, so let's say value of the nickels, which we don't know how many there are, plus, let's start with dimes first because we are calling that x, the value of the dimes, plus the value of the nickels is equal to the total value. So how much are those dimes worth? Well, one dime is worth 10 cents, but we have more than one dime. We have multiple dimes, and we don't know how many we have, but we're letting x represent that unknown number of dimes. So if one dime is worth 10 cents, well then a group of x number of dimes is worth 10 cents times the number of dimes that you have. Okay, so 10 cents times x. And the value of the nickels, well, one nickel is worth 5 cents. So that group of nickels is worth 5 cents times the number of nickels you have, which is y. And the total value that's given $7.30. Now, one thing we could do is get rid of the decimals. You know, it's not necessary, but we could maybe simplify the problem slightly by multiplying both sides of the equation times 100. That way, so if we multiply each of these three terms by 100, so 0.10x times that by 100, the 0.05y times that by 100, and the 7.30 times that by 100, we will have all whole numbers. Now you could have kept the decimals, that would have been fine. Equals $730. Okay, so this would be one of our equations. Let's call this equation number 1. And then that second sentence, if the number of dimes were doubled. So now the number of dimes is doubled. So there were x dimes, now there are 2x dimes, 2 times x. And the number of nickels were increased by 17. So we had y nickels, and then we increase that or add 17. Then the total value becomes $12.75. Okay, so in the same way we constructed that first equation, the value of all those dimes is 10 cents times the number of dimes, which is 2x, plus the value of the nickels, which is 5 cents, times the number of nickels, which is now y plus 17. Now the new value is $12.75. So that's up here. So we're saying if the number of dimes were doubled and the number of nickels were increased by 17, the value of the coins would be $12.75. Okay, and we could do the same thing, get rid of the decimals. So take the whole equation, both sides, multiply by 100. So that will move the decimal point twice. So then our second equation becomes, let's go back to blue, 10 times 2x plus 5 times y plus 17 equals 1,275. So just move the decimal points 2 places to the right. And let's multiply through so we could break up these parentheses. 10 times 2x, that will be 20x plus, so we're doing this, 10 times 2x, 5 times y, and 5 times 17. So 5 times y is 5y plus 5 times 17, and 17 times 5 is 85. And we still have the equal 1,275. And we could subtract 85 from both sides of this equation. And so we could have this now in nice standard simplified form. 20 times x plus 5 times y is equal to 1,190. Okay, so now we have our second equation. All right, so now it's no longer really a word problem. We've taken the words and sort of translated them to these two equations. So now we have this system of equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solve this system of equations. So let me just rewrite that system. We have 10x plus 5y is equal to 730, and we have 20x plus 5y is equal to 1190. Now this is a relatively easy system of equations to solve because we have a 5y in each of the two equations. So what we could do is we could multiply one of those equations by -1. That way we could change this positive 5y into a negative 5y. So our first equation becomes negative 10x minus 5y is equal to negative 730. And the second equation stays 20x plus 5y is equal to 1190. Okay, now this is what we want for elimination. One of the variables, in this case the y, are equal and opposite. We have a positive 5y and a negative 5y. So the elimination method says once one of your variables is equal and opposite, then add the two equations together. Right side plus right side, left side plus left side. And because these are equal and opposite, they will cancel. And we have a negative 10x plus a 20x, so that's a positive 10x on the left is equal to negative 730 plus 1190 will give us 410 60. And if we divide both sides by 10, we get x is equal to 46. Now, x represents number of dimes, so let me zoom out a little bit so we can see more of the problem. So the original question, how many dimes does he have? X is the number of dimes. We just found x, so we've solved the problem. There are 46 dimes. Or we could say he has 46 dimes. Okay, that does it for this problem. I hope this was helpful.